Hi there. Welcome to the How to Market Your Horse Business podcast. I'm so glad you're here. My name is Denise Alvarez, and before we jump into the secret weapon I want to share with you today for your social media, I'll briefly tell you about myself, just in case we're new friends, and then we will jump into the meat of the episode, all right? So as I said, my name is Denise, and through my business, Storm Lily Marketing, I get to help horse business owners like you turn your online audience into your customers. And I do that through one-on-one coaching, as well as website design and content, and Social Stride, my monthly coaching program. And I truly do each of these things, including this podcast, because I want to help you to be out doing more of what you really enjoy doing, the things that light you up, right? Working with horses, being out serving horse business owners as well, or equestrians. That's why I'm here. So here on the podcast, you can expect a mix of step-by-step strategies and basic how-tos to help you not only see what's possible for your business, but to guide you through that process so you can make it happen. So I truly am glad that you're here right now. We are talking about social media. And last week, if you have not listened, I encourage you to go back and listen because we talked about a couple of key strategies that are really going to help you in your social media. So you can go back to stormlily.com/93 or head to the show notes of this episode, which is stormlily.com/94. And of course, I'll link to that for you. But we talked about the key of being authentic in your social media and how you can create connections with your followers. And truly, one of the easiest ways for you to bring people in an authentic way is through your stories on Instagram and Facebook both, right? They both have stories, and we won't talk about the nuances of how each one is different, but just know that you can create stories in each platform, and they have a couple unique features inside of them. But today on the podcast, what we're going to talk about in exploring stories for your marketing strategy is the what, right? What are stories, if you're wondering, why and when you would use them, ways that you can encourage engagement with stories, as well as how you can both sell and have fun in your Instagram stories. All right. So this is going to be one of those very practical episodes that I hope you will immediately be taking action with. All right. So let's go ahead and dive in. First of all, what is an Instagram or Facebook story? So basically, it is a quick post. Typically, it is in portrait mode, right? It's visible for 24 hours, unless on Instagram, you are saving it to your highlights. So if you go to someone's Instagram profile, I say 9 times out of 10 because maybe someone doesn't have their highlights set up, but go to mine, for example, go to Storm Lily Marketing on Instagram, and you will see that I have highlights, which is a way that you can essentially save and organize your stories. But if you do not save it to your highlights, it goes away after 24 hours. Nobody can view it. Now, Meta, right, the owner of Facebook and Instagram, describes stories as a way to share everyday moments with your friends and your followers. Okay, so that's a really beautiful way to think about it. Stories are an opportunity for you to share everyday moments with your followers. Now, one of the great things about stories is that oftentimes the people who are seeing your stories are your super fans. They're the people that really actually do care about what you're posting versus those that are just scrolling through and happen to see your post show up in their feed. Because with stories, they show up at the top of the app, right? And you have to intentionally go there and select whose story you want to view, or you might be scrolling through your stories, but you're only going to see stories typically from people you're following. Now, if someone has an ad that's showing up as a story, you may see that as well. But organically, it's going to reach your super fans, which is really good and super powerful. So as I said, they have different features that you can use on each one. They have stickers, they have music, they have captions options, right? It depends on which app you're using. Now, if you're on Instagram, you can set up your Instagram stories to send to your Facebook page as well. And that can be super helpful for you. All right. So that's the what. They're a really great opportunity for you to have fun and engage and make connections and, of course, make sales, right? Because I know you're in business. So that's the what. What about when? when should you use stories? It says everyday moments, right? So what does that mean? Well, obviously, there are thousands of ways that you can take it creatively. So I'm going to give you some very practical ways that you can start taking action. And then as you do that, you are really going to start training yourself to go, oh, I'm going to put this in my stories. Now I say that, but here's a caveat. If you're somebody frankly, like me, naturally, I am not a naturally, open person that's going to share everything that's going on in my life on social media. That's just not my natural bent. So for me, I might see something and I might intentionally share it on stories because I train myself to think that way. But otherwise, it's not something that's always on top of my mind. So it really depends on your natural bent. I get that. But as a business owner, you're going to, because you're here, you're going to take action. You're going to start training yourself to be posting on stories because it's connected to your why, right? And that end result of why you're even on social media in the first place, which is to connect with more of those right people. Okay. So if you're sitting here saying, Denise, I know, I hear you, but I have a hard enough time posting on social media, let alone posting in my stories too. I get that. And I just want to show you the opportunities here, what stories can do for you. And maybe as you see that and you see how easy it is and you start to have fun with it, then you'll see how it's connected to your why and you're going to make it happen. Okay. So I see you and I hear you because I can be that person too. But here's why I say that. Behind the scenes is a really good thing that you can do on your Instagram stories. So we've talked about that as a topic idea or category of posting on your social media. But specifically in your stories, it's a really fun way to take people behind the scenes because you can just open it up right there and record or do a quick hey, we're getting ready to walk into the show. This is what's going on. We're feeling super excited. We'll catch up with you after, or whatever the case may be, right? Maybe you're at an expo and you're not going to post every little thing to your feed, right? You want to, have high quality posts on your feed, but in your stories, maybe you're going to have a little bit more fun. You're going to show some of the behind the scenes setup. You're going to show some of the fun, crazy things that are going on. Just pull back the curtain, right? So sharing content behind the scenes. Now, another idea for when you can use stories is content that you want to share with your followers. So for example, that's not your own. Now, certainly you can share your own, but if you're scrolling through and something moves you, it's inspirational, it's educational, whatever the case, it makes you laugh, right? This is a great place. Stories are a great place to share things that make you laugh. So you can just put a little joy in someone else's day. So as you do that on Instagram, there's an option for you to hit the little airplane and it'll say send to your stories. So you can share that post to your own stories, and then you can even add text at the top. So if you want to introduce it to your followers in a certain way, or you want to tell them why you thought it was funny or what this post stood out to you for, then that's a great thing to do. So you can also share other people's posts to your stories. Now, in addition, if someone tags you and their stories, you're going to get a notification and it'll be a message. It'll look like a direct message and it will say on Instagram, especially, it's going to say as of now, right? It's going to say that they tagged you in their story, and then it'll have an option there for you to share to your story. And that's a great thing to do. It shows those relationships that you've built in the industry. It gives a little bit of light shining on that person that tagged you. And then you can even tag that person and you can say, thanks for sharing, or whatever the case may be. Okay. So that's another great thing that you can do. And another win of when to use stories, when someone tags you. Okay, I told you this is a very practical one. So I hope you can take notes. You can also head to the show notes. I'm going to have highlights of this like I always do. So again, stormlily.com/94. I will bullet point these ideas for you. But what I want you to do, honestly, is as I'm saying these things, if an idea comes to mind, so more than just taking notes of what I'm saying, if you have an idea that comes to mind as I'm sharing these things, grab your notes app and start putting it in there. I'm a huge fan of notes apps because I want you, as soon as you have that idea and thought, to be able to have a place to put it and then to take action. So yes, listen to my ideas, but then as ideas pop into your own head, I want you to put those down so you don't forget. Okay. So another way that you can use stories and the win, right, is when you want to invite engagement. One of the beautiful things about Instagram stories or Facebook stories too is the stickers, right? So there are so many options where you can, like I said, you can tag somebody. So you can do a mention. You can add there's a story option that's really fun on Instagram that's literally called Add Yours. And you share a picture and you put a caption and then you tell them to add theirs. So you theme it, right? And so people can catch on and they can share it to their stories and add their own, and people can kind of track it back to you. So it's just a fun thing to do. You can also ask questions. So it's a really fun way for you to learn about your ideal audience that's following you on Instagram. So ask a few questions, and my goodness, the opportunities for that are endless. And sometimes it might just be for fun, right? Talking about personal preferences. And sometimes it might be a way for you to really learn about the problems that your audience is having, the solutions that they're looking for. Okay. You also can use a poll sticker. You can use a link sticker so you can share links. You can use hashtags. You can use quizzes. There are all kinds of fun stickers you can use, again, with the point of inviting engagement. Okay. So I want you to intentionally start looking at the other stickers that are available inside of Instagram, because we all have certain ones that we tend to go to, right? If we're posting. So intentionally go look at the engagement stickers and look for some ways that you can invite engagement from your followers. Now, again, why do we do that? Well, number one, that engagement is telling the algorithm that they like you, they like your content, and so they're going to see more of it, ideally. Secondly, by asking these questions and doing polls, you're going to see what resonates with people. That's going to be really good education for you and your audience as you're learning about your audience. So that's why engagement matters so much, okay? So it does matter. I'm not just telling you to do it just because. There's a point behind it, and it's really good. Okay, so we've talked about why, we've talked about what, we've talked about when it comes to stories, we've talked about ways you can engage. Let's talk about how you can both sell and have fun with your Instagram stories, okay, and your Facebook stories too. Sorry, Instagram pops up, but Facebook is great, and I know a ton of you all are telling me my audience is on Facebook. And so if that is the case for you, Facebook stories is where it's at as well, okay? All right, so what are some of the keys to selling in your stories? First of all, here's what I want you to remember. And I just had this conversation with myself and with a client this week. And it's, they don't know what they don't know. If you are not talking about your products and your services that you offer, specifically, if you're not specifically talking about what you have available for sale, then you're not going to sell using Instagram stories, right? They need to know what's available. They need to know how to take action. Okay. And then I want you to keep that in mind as you share what you're working on. So that's one of the ways that you can sell using Instagram stories. Remember, we talked about behind the scenes. Well, for example, if you make tack, if you're a saddle maker, then you can share behind the scenes of what step you're on in the process. You can share about who the saddle's for. Even if you don't say the name, you can tell the story of the client, right? And why you're working on this for them, what they're hoping to do, what the end result is going to be. You can let them know that way what openings you have available. Hey, I make custom saddles. This is what I'm working on. And I happen to have 2 openings left for the end of 2022. If you want to get on the books, send me a message, right? Here's a link, whatever, or send me a direct message. Whatever the case may be. Okay. So share what you're working on and highlight the skill sets that you have. Let people see the great work that you do. Now, if you follow me on Instagram, you may be saying, Denise, you say that, but here I'm going to be super honest and authentic with you because that's what I told you to do, right? This is one that I get hung up on for me. I get so busy doing the work, I forget to share about the work. So as I'm telling this to you, I am telling it to myself to be sharing about the work that I'm doing. And I want you to do the same. Okay. And then let them know what's available. Okay. Another key to selling inside of your stories is to share testimonials. Now, if you use Canva, it's an awesome design tool, and they have templates for Instagram stories and Facebook stories, testimonials that you can use. So if you feel like you're starting from scratch, The other thing you can do is literally screenshot that message. Did they email you? Open that email on your phone and do a screenshot, and then crop out the details people don't need to know and share that as a testimonial. Did they text you? Crop that out and screenshot it and crop it out, right? You can be super scrappy when it comes to your stories. It does not have to be professionally designed. And honestly, oftentimes they'll perform better when they look super scrappy because they look more authentic. Okay. If that's in line with you. Now, for some, I have one client and her stories when she is in a promotion or a launch, like they are designed beautifully, and it's because she does beautiful work and it needs to be a reflection of that. So do it with what's in line with you and your business, but definitely be sharing your testimonials. And as I said, showcasing your clients. You can showcase their wins. So for example, again, going back to TAC, I'm sorry, that's just top of mind because I have another person that I'm talked with, and they do custom saddle pads, right? So they have a team, a brand team, and influencer marketing. They have a team that's wearing their logo on their arm at different events, right? Rodeos and things like that. So in their stories, they can be sharing their wins to their stories and clapping up their clients, clapping up their team that's wearing their brand, while building that trust with their audience, because people are going, oh, he uses that saddle pad. Oh, she uses that saddle pad. They trust that brand. Then I trust it too. So look for ways that you can showcase your client wins by sharing their posts, their wins to your stories. Okay. Now, the final key to selling using stories is to provide an easy call to action. So often we get the information, we say, hey, I do this. Hey, I have this opening. And then your audience is like, and what do I do? How am I supposed to get in touch with you? Do not leave them hanging. Okay. I want you to instead provide an easy call to action, meaning they shouldn't have to think too hard to make that happen, to take that step. So maybe it's telling them to send you a direct message for details. P.S. There's a fun stickers that say DM me that you can put on there. Or maybe it's saying, hey, I provided this helpful information. When you take action, tag me. I'd love to see it. Or maybe it's, and then when they do that, by the way, make sure that you respond to their direct messages when they tag you. Or perhaps you're providing a link and the call to action is go here to learn more, or get signed up here if it's a registration link, something like that. In your stories, don't say link in bio if you can help it, because there is a link sticker that you can use. It's available to everybody. It used to not be, but now it is. So take advantage of it. Don't say link in bio. Give them the direct link right there with the sticker. Okay. All right. So those are some keys that I want you to keep in mind as you're doing your stories. Now, let's talk about ways you can have fun with your stories. All right. I've already told you screenshots are a really good, fun, and scrappy way to share to your stories. So again, if you have clients that are sending you messages and asking you questions, for example, if someone asks you a question and you're like, I bet a lot of people are wondering that, screenshot that, throw it up there and say, hey, I got this question. I wanted to answer it here for everyone's benefit. And then type your answer on there, or do a video, right? That goes along with that. So look for ways that you can answer common questions that way. You can also, like I said, invite people to ask you questions using those stickers. And then when they do, you turn around and make a story out of that as you answer that question. Again, having fun with it means you share some of those more personal everyday moments that maybe don't fit in with a post, but it helps to humanize your brand and it helps to humanize you as a business. Now, definitely, as you're having fun with your stories, remember that you can use photos and video. So don't just use one. Look for using a mix to try to mix it up, right? Have fun with it. Now, again, you can send your recent post or your reels to your stories, and you should. So when you make a post, when you create a reel, send that sucker to your stories, because not everybody that follows you is going to see your post in their feed. But if you send it to your stories, you're increasing the chances, right? You're getting it in front of more eyes that way. So definitely make sure you're sending your posts and your reels to your stories to let people see it. And then you can literally tell stories inside of your stories. You'll see this all the time. People will jump on, flip it around where it's the selfie mode and do a quick video and say, this just happened to me. I had to share it with you. Here's what I learned, right? Look for ways that you can inspire, look for ways you can educate, and look for ways that you can just bring them into the fold, right? Okay, I told you this was going to be one of those very practical episodes. And so I hope it's been helpful and not just inspirational in like that's inspiring way, but inspiring you to take action. Okay. Because as I said, stories are short-lived. They're only 15 seconds long and they go away after 24 hours. So they are so much less intimidating than putting a post that is going to be out there forever, right? And as I said, your super fans are the ones that are most likely to be watching and engaging with your stories. So when it comes to selling, they are also the ones that are more likely to buy from you because they already have built some of that trust. Okay. So if you're not doing stories, I hope this reminds you of the opportunity that is there. And I want you to take action. So here's what I want you to do. Today, to yourself, commit to a certain number of stories per day. You've seen and heard, you haven't seen because we're on the podcast, right? You've heard how easy it can be to put one up there. So figure out what that might look like for you. Is it 3 a day? Is it 5 a day? What are you going to commit to? Now, you've heard me say before that you don't have to post every day to see action on social media. And I do believe that. But I also think that there's something to be said about doing stories every day or 4 times a week or more often than you post, right? Because it keeps you active and engaged inside of the platform and it keeps your audience seeing your stuff regularly. Okay. So make that commitment. If it's not every day, maybe it's every other day, but then challenge yourself inside of that. Okay. Take challenge or take some, take challenge. What am I wanting to say here, friends? Put some effort into it. That's what I'm wanting to say. Don't take the low road and just do the minimum. Do the effort that's going to get you the results that you want. Okay. That's what I want you to do. So commit to that. And then I want to hear from you. So slide into my messages on Instagram or on Facebook and say, hey, Denise, I'm committing. I'm going to do this many stories per week or this many per day. And I'm committing because there's just something about putting that out into the world, right? And then it actually builds some accountability. So send me a message. I am Storm Lily Marketing, both on Instagram and Facebook. And I want to hear from you guys because I really do believe that doing these things that you're learning here on the podcast, being authentic, taking action, posting stories, these are the things that are going to help connect you with those right people. And that's what's going to help you to build the business that you love. It really is not about the numbers as much as it is about those one-on-one connections that you're going to build one at a time and get you in touch with those right people. I really do believe that to my core. Okay. All right. I'm so grateful you are here. I hope that you are not, like I said, you're not just getting the practical, but you're really inspired to take action and go after what you want in your business, because that is my goal here on the podcast. I want to give you the practical, and then I want to give you the oomph that you need to get out there and take action. All right. So I hope you will continue to join me here. I will be back again next week with a brand new episode. But until then, go have fun in your stories. Send me a DM. Let me know what you're committing to, and I will see you here again next week. All right. And P.S. if this has been helpful, would you do me a favor? Do your friends that are business owners a favor and share this with them. All right. Let them know that there's a place where I am breaking down marketing, making it doable so that you can take action and really build the business of your dreams. All right. Okay. That really is it. I thank you for being here, and I'll join you here again next week. Have an awesome day.